afternoon, Valiant nerds. It's your Valiant boy broadcasting valiantly live from a Valiant. I'm good. All right, that joke's done. It's me, the OGGM. It's Friday afternoon, about 5 o'clock here on a lovely, the sun has come out. Hopefully it stays this way spring afternoon. Just got back from celebrating Free Donut Day because, yes, that's what I need is more donuts. Steve is here with me, and we are taking a look at the all-new, spruced up, cool, revised, expanded, updated, extra special effects budget. Yes, hi. Did you want to be part of the show? Here he is. Apparently Steve wants to be part of the show. Tales from the Valiant site. It now has its official own site, separate from the Kobold Games guy. There he goes. Bye, Steve. And they have done stuff to it. The Kickstarter has met and succeeded its initial funding. So now it has gotten into the super extra special levels of funding and unlocking new things. We have 4 play tests available, and we should be getting a 5th sometime this month. If you've already Kickstarted it, you'll get it, I think, today. And if you haven't Kickstarted it and you're just waiting like me to see the rest of it, you'll get it end of June. I don't know. We'll get it eventually. I mean, eventually we're going to see it. And I'm interested, but I don't want to Kickstart it yet until I see more. And I guess they heard me because they have re-spiffified. That's a word, right? Re-spiffified the page, and they made it all explodey and dynamic and thingy. And hopefully this will clarify some of the confusion. And we've gone over this before, but let's just quickly, we know how this started. Just January, blah, the thing there. The problem was when they initially came out, and it was Paizo was going to like, we're going to do this. And Kobold was like, we're going to do this. And everybody else was like, we're going to do this. And then every couple of weeks passed, and the only person who actually did anything was Kelsey Dion with Shadow Dark. It sounded like what Kobold Press had planned was, we're going to finish all the 5e product we already have in the making because, Kobold Press has been making 5e product pretty much for as long as 5e has been around, 15, 16 years. Well, 17 years, actually. They were one of the very first to make third-party 5e product. They're one of the highest regarded third-party. So it sounded like we're going to finish what we already have planned for 5e. And once those are all done, everything we make going forward is going to fall under the ORC, and it's going to be something new. So it sounded like they were going to make a brand new game after they fulfilled their 5e contracts. Now, that's what it sounded like. And so a lot of people misheard. And then when a month passed and we began to see the Project Black Flag posts, it was like, wait, this doesn't sound like a new game. This just sounds like you're dusting off 5e and then redoing it. And now it is pretty clear that is exactly what Tales of the Valiant is. Other than a few cosmetic changes and a couple other things, it's basically 5th edition with their addition to it. We already have, Level Up 5e from EN Publishing. Now we've got this one. There's probably another one that I don't know about, but there's probably more out there. And I assume we will see more as we get closer to January and the beginning of 2024, and we finally get some idea what Wizards of the Coast is going to be. Right now, we've got this one. Now, Paizo has got the ORC. It's on its 3rd read-through. We'll go over that in a separate video, but the ORC is not a game system. Paizo also has 2nd edition Pathfinder Remastered Core Infinity XXL, but that is not trying to emulate 5th edition. So as of today, it looks like what they're trying to do with Tales from the Valiant, which still sounds like an 80s comic book to me. Like Spider-Man and Tales of the Valiant. This month, Wolverine. Is it's going to try and continue 5e after Wizards of the Coast does whatever they're going to do. And if 2024, 2025, they say 5e's done. Kobold's like, no, here. We are basically what we're doing is we're keeping the 5e rule set in play, and we've made enough changes to it so that Wizards probably can't take us to court. Now, there's people out there who are trying to say that, what they're trying to do is destroy 5e. They're trying to kill 5e. They're trying to get you to stop playing 5e. And no, actually, guys, it's the exact opposite. At least that's what it seems. is that what they're trying to do is to make sure you still can play 5e the way you want to play 5e by having their own take on it. So let's read it and see what, if anything, has changed. Hello, O host. After checking their Twitter accounts, most of Kobold Press staff is woke AF, so drop their woke like a boiling potato. Potato. Yeah, I've seen some of the tweets. Diversity in Dragons did a thing on some of the weirdness that comes out of that thing. I'm not judging the staff. That's not my thing. That's Diversity in Dragons thing. My thing is just looking at this and, trying to see if it's worth your money or not, And if you're a 5e player and want to still be able to play 5e the way you like playing 5e and are worried about whatever's going to happen next year, this might be your way to keep it alive. This might succeed. It might fail miserably. I mean, it's already, met its Kickstarter, so it's going to be printed. Whether it has a future or not, who knows? For 17 years, Kobold Press has made top-quality role-playing material, adventure supplements, accessories, and more. We've grown from 3 kobolds in a trench coat to 5, and it's time for a new trench coat. Tales of the Valiant is that new coat. TOV moves the independent 5th edition community forward with a system that is open and available to all. Our goal is to keep 5e products vibrant both in print and on VTT partner platforms by keeping a set of rules available under an open, perpetual, and irrevocable license. There you go. Okay? So, black and white, we are not trying to kill 5e. We're not trying to get you to stop playing 5e. We're not trying to destroy. We don't throw away your books. All we're trying to make sure is when 5th edition does its, when Wizards of the Coast does its next stupid, inevitable thing, you still have a core rulebook to play with. Why are we writing Tales from the Valiant? You might have seen some of our first experimental playtext documents. It's a work in progress. It'll be when it's done, it'll be based upon the new core fantasy role-playing rules. If you're just joining us, the core fantasy role-playing rules will be complete distilled system document permanently available to everybody. So there will be a SRD and then the rule set. 2 separate things. That's where some of the initial confusion came from. We had the ORC from Paizo. We had Kobold saying that they're going to be making a core fantasy role-playing rules. And then we also had Kobold then later come out and say we're making Project Black Flag. What is the format for Tales of the Valiant? It's 2 books, Player's Guide, Monster Vault, for now. The Player's Guide will include 13 base classes. All right, that's about 10 base classes too many. Lineages and heritages to replace race. And all the rules you need for a player or GM in 1 book. Monster Vault will include every dungeon crawling or fire-belching fantasy creature you need to craft fantasy encounters that doesn't violate Wizards of the Coast copyright. And since we've basically made our bread and butter on monster books, that should be pretty easy for them. We've launched the Tales from the Valiant Kickstarter. We accepted to ship in 2024. Kickstarters will be able to get an inside track with 2 bonus sets of playtest material every month. Tales of the Valiant is the most established new game you'll ever played. We were already committed to creating our own game with the 5th edition system reference document 5.1 was released into Creative Commons. After that, it was clear we could build on the foundation so many people already know and love. Its roots are familiar. Tales of the Valiant brings new realms of adventure to the table. Explore new class like the Mechanist, because we can't use the word artifactor, the Kobold and Bearfolk character lineage, and hundreds of new options in the forms of talents, not feats, spells, and monsters. It's a refitting of 5th edition to use more straightforward language, reduce complexity, organize information in a user-friendly way. The presentation style uses examples and standout advice to help onboard new players. Examples are good. The rules will be easy to read. It will reduce DM burden with encounter building tools, exploration encounter tools, social encounter tools, random tables. Rebalance some existing elements such as feats, now known as talents, and subclasses. If you have 13 classes and each class has at least 2 subclasses, that's too many. Provide opportunities for PCs to make meaningful choices throughout every level of play. Make spell casting cooler. Keep combat interesting for martial characters. What happened to Project Black Flag? I don't know. Everybody liked that name, so we changed it. Going forward, okay. We're making a 5e core game system that everyone can use. It's called the Core Fantasy Role-Playing System. We're putting it together now, and if you want to build for it too, please back it. So is that separate then? No, it's Tales from the Valiant. Can I get the one without the other? But we want to take it even easier. We want to be bold in publishing new ideas, brave and standing up for our principles, and valiant like the characters we tell stories about. So the rest of the year, we're going to talk about our own game. Tales of the Valiant will run on the CFR rules, but it will be 100% Kobold Press games. In old terms, think of the CFR as the equivalent of the D&D SRD, and the TOV as equivalent of the D&D as printed. Aren't there some people who say the SRD is actually better than 5e? Tales from the... What's the difference? Core Fantasy Roleplay is free, open, 5e compatible system, available forever. Tales from the Valiant is the Kobold Press game based on CFR, where we push our own boundaries. Public feedback, blah, blah, design consulting schedule. We went over this morning. And then here we have the things that are available. And plus the design diaries that are going up. So, and that seems to be it. Then they want you to, buy their stuff, buy our stuff, follow our stuff. We're partnered with... no mention of ORC here. Dungeon Scribe, WR, Nord Games, SFG, Frog God Games, Hit Point Press, Griffin Saddlebag, Lazy Wolf Studios, and Vineyard RPG. Digital partners, Demiplane, Foundry, World Anvil, Fantasy Grounds, Roll20, Alchemy. Accessory partners, the people who are making our toys. Interesting, no mention of the ORC. So they're not using the ORC, they're using their own. Because originally they said they were going to use the ORC. But now I guess they're separate. All right, so they're going to have an SRD that you're going to be able to get for free. Not now, but eventually. And then they're going to have the 2 books that are coming out. One is the player's book, and the other book is just going to have monsters and DM stuff. All right, so does that clarify? 13 classes: fighter, cleric, ranger. Fighter, cleric, rogue, wizard. So that's 5. What are the other 10? Oh, barbarian, paladin, ranger, monk, bard. There's 10. Our machine guy, that's 11. What is 12 and 13? Sorcerer and warlock? I don't know. Do we really need 13 in each one with a subclass? So it's 5e. It's basically, it's 5e. The character sheet, they've changed a few things, whatever. There's luck instead of insight, a couple other minor things, a couple things that are unique to their world. I guess they have a world called Midgard, I believe. So Tales from the Valiant will now be the system that all the Midgard adventures going forward will be set in. So if a year from now, this guy here, Nostros Los Lobos Estomos Representado, who is hopefully subscribed, wants to continue to play 5e, and he can't find 5e product the way he likes it because Wizards of the Coast has stopped making 5e product and is now making whatever it is they're making, one D&D. But he's like, I really need a new 5e product. Oh, here we go. I can just go and get this Kobold Press 5e product. We've got the 17 years of old Kobold Press stuff that is perfectly compatible with my existing 5e up till today. And then we've got this Tales from the Valiant stuff, which is close enough to 5e that I could still use it. And, other than 1 or 2 things, that's it. So I think that is what they're trying to do. They're not trying to kill. They're not competition. If anything, they're trying to make sure that if you enjoy playing 5th edition D&D as it exists today, going forward, it will still... Oh, well, thank you, sir. I will subscribe to you, too, if I haven't already. Still have something that's doing 5e 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And they're going to have this SRD. So if you want to write something for Tales from the Valiant, you can, and not have to wade through the... pool of muck that is the Creative Commons. Is there going to be some type of inevitable showdown between them and Wizards of the Coast? I don't know. Some people said they should have waited a little longer You know, they should have waited like a year longer, wait for people to be, you know, want to be upset with 6E and abandon the 6E boat, and then they can stuff up and play the Pathfinder card and go, why be upset with 6E? We're over here with our brand new game. And we're the, you know, they could have been the Pathfinder for whatever it is that I can't call it 6E because Wizards claims it's not 6E. Game with no name that Wizards of the Coast is putting out in 2024. They could have been the competition, but now it looks like they're going to come out at the exact same time and try and compete with them. Will they succeed? Will they be the Pathfinder 2024? Or will they be a forgotten remnant of the 2023 OGL Wars? I don't know. You can kickstart it now if you want. Bare minimum of Kickstarter, I think, is $35 for the alpha playtest, and you get the playtest packs 2 weeks before they go public on the Tales from the Valiant site. Or you could continue to wait like I am till we see what the rest of the playtest looks like. Because right now it's 5e. And if I already have 5e, do I really need a new 5e? Now, if I don't have 5e product going forward and I find it difficult to get 5e product, then that would be the market. I don't know if we need a new system per se. I don't know. It sort of depends upon what the landscape is going to look like 2 years from now, right? Okay. Is there going to be an influx of people a year from now who want to play what we referred to as 5e? You know, and then they come and they can't find 5e because Wizards of the Coast has stopped producing it. So then they either are like, no, you can't play 5e, you got to play the new thing, or you can play Tales from the Valiant. And if the new thing has such negative press associated with it, that Tales from the Valiant can go and do the exact same thing that Pathfinder did and go, yes, you can. This is D&D the way it's meant to be played. This is D&D 5.5. Ignore that 6th edition thing. All right, then that's that'll be the impetus. It's gotta hit at just the right moment. It's gotta have that magical spark to make people want to keep playing it. Because the 5e people who already exist, 5e today people who are just like totally don't care, are probably like the same I am. Like, I've already got 5e. Why do I need another 5e? I've already got my player's handbook. I'm not going to throw it away. I've still got it. I'm going to want new 5e material, but am I going to want a new 5e system? Can they repeat the magic of Pathfinder? I think is the big thing. So we're going to have to follow the story and see where things stand come February 2024. If Wizards falls on its knees, most likely it will, can Tales from the Valiant step in and pick up the pace and carry us forward? Of course, hiding in the shadows, waiting to see what's going to happen. We're still waiting for August. Is another little game you might have heard of that could be the true contender to the throne, Daggerheart, or more affectionately referred to as Dagger to the Heart, which we know very little about other than it's a fantasy game written by Matt Mercer that most likely is going to be D20. And now if Matt Mercer and Daggerheart can jump in at that right moment and take the Pathfinder route and be the Pathfinder for the 6e, woo boy! You thought Pathfinder versus 4e was huge. And you'll look back at the 4e wars with, longing and nostalgia. Remember the 4e wars, DM Kurt? I do. Man, these Daggerheart versus 6e wars. Oh boy, man, look at that Scott Garrity, man. He's all angry. The 5 fans who still like 5e, they're all like upset at Matt Mercer. Oh boy. So yes, Tales from the Valiant, ORC, 6th edition Dungeons and Dragons, whatever it is Matt Colville's making, whatever 7C D20 is making, whatever it is those other companies who said they were going to make 6th edition 5e clones when 5e fails next year. You've all got to wait and see what happens, because coming in August, we got Dagger to the Heart from Matt Mercer, and that could be the saving grace of going forward. But for those people who are out there who whining and crying and saying Tales from the Valiant is trying to destroy D&D, trying to destroy 5e, throw away your 5e, don't play 5e, burn, you can't. No, it's what it's trying to do is make sure you still have a 5e adjacent system available to you when Wizards of the Coast does the next inevitable stupid thing. Woo! You can tell I'm a little hyper from those donuts from Free Donut Day. All right, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Time to shut things down and watch some Netflix. If you appreciate the content that's coming out of my mouth, please take a moment to subscribe and consider supporting the OGGM by buying your copy of Wretched Vigilantes. Ignore all this 5e nonsense and get back to some wretched superhero OSR role-playing. Wretched Vigilante is co-written by me. Yeah, and it's got titties in it. So, yeah. See you guys. Talk to you tomorrow.